From the swamp to the stars, it's time for the UFO report. Let's bring in our resident Timbit, Tim Seanor.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Well, the burning question that we all have, Tim Seanor, after you left the show the other night, how was the Barry White in the fireplace at Chateau Seanor?
Just finished.
Wow. Quite a session. Quite a session.
Tantric all the way. Just deep breathing exercises and keep your eyes on the horizon. I think that seems to help.
Yeah. For those of us who may not have tuned in a couple nights ago, Tim was in a hurry to get off the show because Mrs. Seanor had put a time limit on him, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Yeah, the Tantra started early, and it ended up going late. And good for you, Tim. Good for you. God bless you.
Yeah, the boss rings the bell, you got to run. But
definitely.
There's been a lot going on in the world of UFO as well, and I've been trying to keep my head above water. Right?
Are you changing topics that quick?
No, let's linger on my love life, please.
All right. Let's just get to UFO.
You are a clap. I love you, man. I have missed you. We need to talk more.
By the way, I know you were tuned in last night to Swamp Dweller.
Indeed.
Did you hear the story that I told him about what happened to me back in September?
No. Give me a refresher. I'd love to hear it.
Well, both myself and Mrs. SOR actually started having, like, every night when I go to bed, I got my phone right beside my bed. I'll set my alarm. And a lot of times, majority of nights, I'll actually play Swamp Dweller. Fall asleep to his stories. Well, in September, I actually had to turn it off because I went through about a week to 10 days, and Miss SOR did as well, where we were actually not together, but actually having extremely lucid dreams about his stories. And actually, I recall, I'll talk about myself here, recall actually being projected into his stories and watching them live and actually play out right in front of me. And I've never had that happen before. And it was happening. And it would be the kind of thing, like, I think once you hit 40, all of us go to the bathroom at least once in the middle of the night. You know, and whether you go to the bathroom or you get up to go get a drink of water or whatever, I would get up and I would say, go get a drink of water, come back to bed, and I'd re-enter that dream.
Right.
Scared the daylights out of me, man.
Whatever
Scared
you do,
the daylights out of me.
Don't fall asleep to porn. Right? Find yourself involved in that. It's kind of like cheating, right?
Well, we
Mrs.
actually
SOR would get salty.
Well, we actually leave that to you. You know,
watch porn.
Well, no, apparently not.
Oh, Dave, right up against the wall there, you are.
Well, you started it. You started it, you sicko.
You started it.
You started it. All right, let's get to some UFOs tonight, my friend, because there is a lot going on in the world right now when it comes to this. I mean, where do you want to start? I want to start. I know you have it here as number 2 on your list.
Oh, okay.
But a former U.S. Air Force sergeant claimed to see a giant alien moon base on the far side of the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, and you and I even got to meet with an insider this past, what was it, August in Denver. And they shared some photographs, probably of exactly what we're going to be talking about right here, that are just breathtaking. And it makes you wonder. And so NASA conspirators and whistleblowers have full assurance that the U.S. Space Agency has been covering the evidence of UFOs since the Apollo mission. And so Donna Hare claimed to have worked for NASA contractor Philco Ford in the early 1970s. And she had a high security clearance to walk into NASA's photo lab and other departments. So during the Disclosure Project press conference, Hare revealed that NASA covered up and eliminated space anomalies such as UFOs from satellite photos. And so Hare has got several awards in space programs, and she's dedicated most of her time and technical expertise into exploring the space programs to help create lunar maps, landing slides, and has been working for 15 years as a subcontractor for NASA. And so, as we move forward into this great story, former U.S. Air Force scientist Robin Brett was amongst the first people to study the direct research of moon rocks. And it says it's easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than its existence. And so besides, according to scientists, the moon is older than the Earth by nearly 800,000 years, which raises a lot of questions in itself. Former U.S. Air Force Sergeant Carl Wolf also had top secret clearance and worked at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia and worked as a precision electronics photograph repairer for NASA's Lunar Orbiter project. And so one day he was taken into a lab and shown some very interesting photographs. His level of security clearance was enhanced, and as a result, he was allowed even more highly, extremely secure laboratory clearance. And so in this great story, Wolf was aware that in order to fix the imaging processing equipment, he would first need to have it removed, and he would also have to be aware of half the diagnostics on this kind of equipment would take some time to complete. So after he was informed that all of NASA's picture data was transferred to Langley, he was allowed access. Wolf was told that the new, better pictures had shown structures of the surface of the moon's dark side where there were both surprising and clear structures that could not have been made by natural means, like meteors or ancient collisions between other celestial bodies. The structures were created by intelligent beings and, quote, were discovered, the airmen said, as a base on the backside of the moon. And so Wolf was obviously stunned by this extraordinary disclosure, and he remembers literally shaking, trying to take in the enormity of what he'd just been told. And so, seeing Wolf's disbelief, the darkroom attendant continued, yes, a base on the dark side of the moon. And so incredibly credible stories coming from some credible witnesses. Dave, what's your opinion with some of this? Knowing that the moon is in fact 800,000 years even older than our planet, and yet somehow it revolves around us.
Well, we're more important, that's why. What's the moon got to offer? Doesn't even have a Taco Bell on it yet. You know? You just... Seriously.
It will soon. It
Probably.
might. It actually might already have Taco Bell and Starbucks, right?
By the way, shout out to Vinman earlier today who sent me a TikTok about there somewhere in Texas, you can actually pull up to a gas station, and while you're filling your gas tank, there is an order board right there where you can order tacos from the taco stand inside, and they will deliver them to your vehicle while you're filling up.
Absolute genius.
I will tell you right now, you know, this is where I say God is good. Okay? This is where I say God is good, because that's a godly move right there. Godly move. No, but seriously, getting back to what you were saying, I think we need to try and get Donna Hare back on this show. Okay? Donna Hare, former NASA employee, she actually watched photos being scrubbed of UFOs by NASA. That they actually have a department that scrubs photos of UFOs and anything else that could be considered anomalous. And this gets back, Tim, to what we were talking about the last number of months,
Right.
where we know NASA is lying. And I hate that word. Once again, I hate calling anybody a liar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
But
given
we
a lot
know.
of thought on that. And, you know, what do you think is their real motivation for hiding this secret? They spend so much money to hide it. Is it because they've already started it and they can't reverse it without showing their cards? Is it to hide technology? What do you think is the ultimate reason for them, in particular NASA, let's just say? Is it
I think
because
it's
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was
Finish up.
just going to say, is it because they don't want to highlight the fact that it's a distraction to astronauts? You know, and things like that, where they're getting off mission and things like that. What are your
Well,
thoughts?
I think we have to remember there is two sides to NASA. There's the public side that we all see watching the rockets and the astronauts go team. Let's head to space. And there's the darker side, which is they are a military branch. Excuse me. Okay, they are a military branch. And we have to be very, very cognizant of the fact that NASA does not work for the public. They do not. You know, how else are those spy satellites getting up there? Military doesn't launch their own satellites.
They're
right?
just up there. We don't know
They
how
just-
they get up there. It's a miracle.
Well, but the idea behind it, my friend, is this. We as a public have never held NASA accountable. We as a public have always taken them as astronauts as heroes. All right, that goes back to the days of Gemini, John Glenn. But when we look at it today, we don't know what they have. This is why it is so insulting when you hear Executive Director Bill Nelson talking about UFOs and talking to Navy pilots about what they've seen. And this is where we've been yelling at them. When are you going to check your own closet? Not only on this show, but we've been doing it on social media as well. Yeah. Every time there's somebody a politician or Bill Nelson talking about NASA, we get in there, we fire back. Have you checked your closets yet, Bill? Because it's real simple.
But what's their real motivation literally for spending so much money and having a department dedicated to just erasing anomalies in photos? Why are they doing that?
Look, they don't want the public to know what's going on. They're part of the 50% that doesn't want disclosure. Whether it's for technology, whether it's because contact has been made, whether it's because of crash retrievals, reverse engineering, there's a lot going on there. Maybe even the secret space program. We don't know, Tim. Right? This is what we do know. In today's world, airline travel is obsolete. Flying at 19 hours to Australia from Los Angeles should have ended decades ago. Yet, we're still building 747s and 767s, 777s in order to get there. We also know that rocketry is obsolete, even with what Elon Musk is doing. We do know that fission is going to play an important part in getting us to go, or fusion, pardon me, is going to get us an important part of moving the rockets forward.
Yeah.
Whether it's through some sort of gel or whether something else.
Good play on words. Definitely moving rockets forward.
That's why you're the brains of the operation here, Tim. That's right. But the whole idea and premise about this, Tim, is this. It all comes down to that UFO Pandora's box that I believe is sitting in the middle of the Pentagon somewhere. Probably be about 150 stories down, right where Dick Cheney hid the $2.3 trillion that he lost on September 10th, 2001. Okay. Now, and I'm serious about that. I am totally serious about that. And when you look at everything that's kind of gone on with that, there are a lot of secrets that the military, which includes NASA, and these government alphabet agencies do not want getting out to the public. They'll let us speculate like we are right now. They will let us talk about it. They will let us, you know, throw tantrums about what are you hiding, NASA? All right. But not, man. They're not going to give them up, man. They are not going to give up the secrets.
Quick question. When did we realize that NASA was lying to us? Because I know there's a few documentaries, but I'm just wondering if you have a rough idea. When did we suddenly realize that NASA was holding back imagery? Was it when some of our astronauts came forward? Did we believe them right
I would
off the
say
bat?
that.
Is that
I would say that.
okay?
And it provided Donna Hare with a much needed credence to her
About what
story about
year?
being. I couldn't pick a year.
Okay.
I wasn't in this field when that happened.
Okay.
It's better than jumping on it and saying 1982 or whatever. But Tim, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We have another 30 minutes left with Tim Seanor on the UFO Report. Spaced Out Radio with me, Dave Scott, continues right after this. Stay tuned. All right, we're clear, dude.
Sorry to bounce back with you. I have so many questions on that,
Oh, ask away, dude.
And just the fact I know you know so much on this, it's great.
Oh, I love this talk. I do.
Do you think like NSA and NASA are linked? Same way?
They're all linked. They are all linked.
And is that a part of the reason that a lot of those images don't get out?
No, I think it's as simple as they don't want us to know, Tim. They don't want us to know. They don't want us to be a part of it. They don't care about the public. I mean, look, Tim, look at the experiencers out there who have had sightings. Okay. And look what we're told. It's not important. But I mean, holy Dinah, if what can we put it? If an Air Force pilot or a Navy pilot has a sighting, or Captain Jack Sparrow has a sighting while flying a 737 from Dallas to Tulsa.
It's a great point you're making, and they're considered trained observers, and so we just lend that credibility. But at the same rate, I was talking to someone recently, and they were explaining how, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions at our military because I come from a military family, but I wasn't aware that there was such a drug problem in our military. And I'm not saying that everybody in the military does drugs, but there's a problem there. And I wasn't aware of it, but they were talking about it. And then it brought up the fact that we hold all of our military up to high standards. And obviously there's a lot of pressure there. So that could explain the drug problem. But my point being is that how does the fact that they live the same lifestyle as somebody that is a civilian, how does that give them the same level of credibility? Knowing that in particular, like if they're smoking and partying on the weekends and doing the same thing as the rest of the public, how does that make them a better observer? Just because they've been trained to know what to look for? But a lot of that, you know what I mean? Dude, you know where I'm going with this? I'm just saying, look, just because they're military, does it make them a better observer? I guess is my point.
Well, and I think that's a great point. I do. I understand with where you're going, but we have to realize nobody's perfect. Okay,
oh, for sure.
The best baseball players in the world, okay, when they step up to the plate, they are wrong 70% of the time.
And that's probably good average.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, 0.6 8-7 Canadian boys will make the NHL.
Of course, you know that stat.
That number is decreasing. That number is decreasing with the amount of European hockey players and the amount of American hockey players coming into the league.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, statistics are skewed in that way. So the idea behind, I guess where I had a purpose of going with this, and I've seemed to have lost it all of a sudden.
Well, let me circle you back in, because along with what I was saying is, even amongst military personnel, isn't there like a code of silence on things? So like, if there's a massive observance and an opportunity to whistleblow, they still may not take that opportunity, because even amongst themselves, there's that code of silence.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when you're part of a squadron, you're part of a family.
In the comments,
right? When you join the squadron, you're part of that family, and you're not going to break the rules of your brothers and sisters. That's camaraderie. They've got your back, and you got to have theirs. You know, that's what teamwork is all about. You may not agree with it, but you still got their back.
Right. And that's part of why Kevin Day was so brave, taking that first step forward, because, you know, other people then saw him and were able to come forward. And it was that first step. Right. And I feel like we need that first step again. And I don't know how. It needs to come from another source. And I hope that this whistleblower program will make that happen. But I don't know if we as the public are going to get it or hear about it.
Hold on, buddy.
All right.
We have 15 seconds. Thank you to all our super chatters tonight and everybody who's done some shopping at our website. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell, give our thumbs up or down, and a comment after the show. It helps with our algorithms. Here we go, everyone. We're rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives. We go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the UFO report. Touchy subject with Tim Seanor right off the bat here regarding NASA. What are they hiding after a big report that maybe there are bases and structures on the other side of the moon? Interesting topic, Tim.
Yeah, I think Pink Floyd had it right. Absolutely. And I do believe that there could be structures there. And I also believe that there could be all kinds of things out on the dark side of the moon that we don't have direct visual, contact with. Things can hide behind things very conveniently, can't they, Dave?
Well, yeah, and I think you're right on that. But when you control a monopoly that NASA has, because everybody has to do what you say. Doesn't matter whether you're Virgin, you're Blue Origin, or you're SpaceX or Robert Bigelow. You are playing NASA's game. I mean, look, I have heard many a time where people have, you hear Elon Musk talk about, hey, you're going up to space. Have you ever, NASA told you about the aliens yet? Has any of your rockets encountered aliens? And he laughs it off. No, I don't really believe in that stuff. Maybe they're out there somewhere, but they're not here. I would know. Yet you talk to people who have talked with Elon Musk about this subject or even debriefed him. He knows all too well that his rockets are being followed.
And there's no money in it. There's no money in this topic.
Right? Right? So, I mean, look, we know the secrets are being played. We know that there are numerous stories about it. And I'm going to do our best here. I'm going to try and track down Donna Hare. I'm sure I still have her stuff here. I'm going to try and track her down because I think it would be very interesting for our audience to hear from her if you've never heard a Donna Hare interview regarding that, because I am very, very interested in re-chatting with her regarding it. That is for sure.
Exciting. That would be really exciting.
We need to. We definitely need to explore that topic once again. All right, let's move to our second topic of the night. And that would be dun, dun, dun,
what will they
UFO recovery and technology transfer revealed in a new U.S. intelligence document. What's this all about?
Absolutely. Well, so stunning mention of recovered UFOs and the exploitation of their technology by the United States government has been found buried within the newly issued official congressional intelligence document. And so you even covered a little bit of this tonight with your excellent guests. The U.S. national laboratories and private industry are implicated as beneficiaries of such retrieved technology. And further, the time period discussed encompasses the start of 1947, of course, the year of the famous Roswell UFO crash, right up to the present day. And so intriguingly, they select 1947. And so the statement was located in the massive 2023 U.S. House Intelligence Authorization Act document that was authorized and authored by select members of Congress and cleared and chosen to sit on the House of Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, also called the House Intelligence Committee. And so I'm going to go over the really interesting parts here because very clearly in here they're calling on the Comptroller General of the United States to come up with a report and a compilation required no later than 1 year after the date of the enactment of this act. And the comptrollers will be providing for the period beginning of January 1st, 1947, and ending on the date on which the Comptroller General completes the activities. And the compilation will itemize a complete historical record of the intelligence community's involvement with UFO and the undersea phenomenon, including successful or unsuccessful efforts to identify and track the UFO. And so efforts to recover and transfer related technologies to the United States-based industry and national laboratories are going to be tracked, and any intelligence community efforts to obfuscate, manipulate public opinion, hide, or otherwise provide unclassified or classified misinformation about the unidentified UFO and undersea phenomenon will have to be reviewed and conducted in this review. And so they're looking for any kind of obfuscation or manipulation of public opinion along with these original cases. So if there was a cover-up, they want to know about it. And so also they're going to include a classified annex if necessary. So there will be a section that we as the public will never hear about, but Congress will be read in on. And so I know we've covered this fairly in depth up until this point, but I think the implication of this information is definitely a declaration that there is information and potentially an answer to whether Wilson and Davis have been reading people in on what to ask for this new piece of legislation. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think there's a lot of people who have been read in on this subject, more than we probably even know, whether it's to do with crash retrievals, ET contact, ET communication, like Science Bob said, beforehand, there is still a giant percentage of people in Washington, D.C., both governmental and alphabet agency alike, who really do not want do not want this subject coming out because of their own personal beliefs and fears. Now, when we look at it, we need to, start putting this together, Tim. We need and look, this is going to go through the government. You're going to have nothing to do with it. I'm not going to have anything to do with it. We can only hope that finally some smart minds there open this subject up to what we need to know. The public deserves a right to know if there are crash retrievals. I don't care if you're American, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Arabic, doesn't matter to me. The public has a right to know that we have been visited. Okay? And like I said to you, and I've said to our audience before, this is a $7.75 billion or billion person question that needs to be answered. And if they are coming here, where are they coming from? What do we know about them? We can sit there and say to the world, we just don't know. I could put my khaki pants on right now, and say, well, we just don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, as exciting as it is to see this wordage, it's still absolutely outrageous as it is for NASA to be asking its own people to come forward about the UFO topic. It's outrageous that they have to ask for this information because they own the information. The fact that they're asking for it to be collated in a way that can be presented to Congress, it's just like spoon feeding a baby bird. It's very frustrating. But at the same rate, I understand the process. And just as Lou Elizondo explained to us quite a while ago, this is a long game, and we're, going through the ebb and flow of things. And it can be very frustrating, but at the same rate, these little tidbits do kind of show what has been going on potentially behind closed doors. The fact that this is the wordage does kind of say that they have an idea of where to at least draw the line historically of where they need to look at potential cover-up and potential evidence. Because who knows, maybe they will be able to discover bodies, craft, and where all of that stuff went. There's got to be a trail. And if they're going to dig hard enough, they'll discover that trail.
We need that trail, dude. We need that trail.
Yeah.
That trail needs to come out in public. Yeah. It needs to be there. It needs to have some answers. Because if we don't have those answers, what are we holding on for? The only thing we're holding on for is some sort of nefarious act. Because they ain't doing it for you. They ain't doing it for me or anybody else on this planet. What are they doing it for? Themselves. They want the technology. They want the reverse engineering. They want the spoils of their findings.
Yeah, and they're starting to kind of hint at who some of the secret keepers are. Because we know that every piece of technology is absolutely compartmentalized. You could be working on something in an industry and not know that you're working on a piece of reverse tech. And so who are the secret keepers? Are they the heads of these private industries? Are they the pieces, the people in government that distribute out the pieces of technology? I don't quite know where to draw the line and who the real secret keepers and the key holders are. But I do feel that if we keep watching and keep listening, we may get a hint. Do you have any idea personally, Dave, of who those real secret keepers could be? And how would we potentially get to them to knock on that door and ask some questions?
Well, I believe it is, there is a secret group out there that is controlling this entire phenomena. If you want to put it in movie sense, it would be, if you go to the first Transformers movie and they talk about Sector 7, okay? And then they show that video from Mars with the Transformer on Mars walking up to one of the robots.
Nerd. No, go ahead. I'm just busting your chops. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I never slammed the Transformers.
How could I? Just don't watch them all in a row. Unless you really have trouble sleeping. But go
But
ahead.
but the point that I'm getting at is this. I believe there is a special group out there that literally are dealing with this. Okay.
And is it like the quote unquote cabal, or
No,
is it like the what is it, the mystery
Collins
college?
Elite. It's a mystery college. The name is on the tip of my tongue right now, and I cannot remember it.
Okay.
Okay.
Someone will know in the chat, and they'll just.
And apparently, it's a group of 4 that are controlling this story.
Is it like 4 families, or is 4 individuals?
4 individuals within the U.S. government.
Cool.
That's all I know. Who they are, no idea.
In the U.S. government. Okay. Majestic 12 YJ's throwing in there?
No, it's not Majestic. It's, I want to say Collins Elite, but that's not it. That's not it. Bob would know.
Yeah. I don't know for sure. But this definitely raises interesting information here that they're asking to know if technologies have been distributed out into the private sector, so it can't be FOIA'd and it can't be tracked or traced. And if it happened in a secret or nefarious way, they want to know. And I love the fact that they're also in this wordage kind of admitting to the fact that there is probably some way to obfuscate, manipulate public opinion, hide, otherwise provide unclassified or classified misinformation, right? So there could be classified misinformation. Why would that happen? To make you think it's real because it's classified? It's not necessarily real just because it's classified. And unidentified. And again, obviously, all of the wordage has been changed. I used UFO because I'm not going to get a slap on the wrist like I usually do on SOR. So they have a very long-winded description now that I just UFO it now. But that is also, highlighted in red and absolutely frustrating. And one just more way to show one thing with one hand while the other hand does something else. Absolutely.
Well, the problem is this is where all these groups kind of get involved, where you're like, okay, this is from the Department of Defense, this one's coming from the CIA, the next one's coming from the NRO, the next one's coming from the Department of Energy. I mean, where are they all coming from? Why do they all need their own departments regarding this subject? I find that strange, man. I really do.
Right. And they each seem to have their own reporting office / agency, and they're not all communicating amongst each other. They're all classifying them within each department. So there can be no interdepartmental exchange of the information. And I think that was part of the original problem that, the original group that was supposed to research this, the UAP task force, UFO task force, let's just call it, they weren't able to even quantify any of the data between departments because of how the information was classified within each system within the department. Impossible. They know, and here's the thing, they know that these things are that way when they create these offices. They knew it to the fact that they didn't even declare a director for the office. You're talking about an empty office. They knew it was going to fail. But they definitely delegated funds for it.
Of course they did. They need to. It's all about the money. All about the money, money, money. Yeah. My friend, we got a couple minutes left here.
Okay.
Let's get to solar flares that are coming up. I know solar flares are bad for this planet. Okay. But I got to tell you, I get excited when I hear of them, especially big solar flare storms, because that means I get a nice show of the Northern Lights here at HQ.
I knew you were going to say that, and I was going to ask you. And so do you know how long it takes for a solar flare to hit the Earth from the moment that it happens?
I believe it's between 24 and 96 hours.
8 minutes.
I was off.
You were a little bit off. Yeah. So
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So you have just long enough to make that phone call to let your family members know it's about to happen. So the sun unleashed a barrage of 8 powerful solar flares this week from a single sunspot, and it's actually growing in strength. And so the sun unleashed these 8 solar flares on Wednesday, and more are expected after a crackling sunspot emerged on the star's face. Not to get excited, this is kind of a regular thing. It's not the end of the world. So that's my take. That's just me saying that. And so one of the solar flares, a powerful M6, which is the second highest in the solar flare extremities, caused a brief radio blackout over the Atlantic Ocean Wednesday at about 9:42 a.m., according to spaceweather.com. And so space flares are a burst of electromagnetic radiation that traveled at the speed of light, and those directed at Earth reach our planet within 8 minutes of emerging from the sun's atmosphere. X flares are the most powerful solar flare category, and the next level down is the M class, which describes most of Wednesday's observed flares. And so Wednesday's outburst stunned solar physicists, some of whom commented on the light show on Twitter that 3 or more of the flares in particular, all M classes ranging from 2 to 6, tweeted, in particular, Keith Strong tweeted about midday that makes 8 M flares so far for today, and they seem to be getting bigger. And he wonders, is there an X flare in the offing? Stay tuned. And so, Dave, we know that solar flares are sometimes accompanied by coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, which are clouds of magnetized plasma that travel much more slowly than flares, but taking up to 3 days to reach Earth. And so CMEs tend to cause more disruption to our tech, and as they trigger geomagnetic storms in the atmosphere when they interact with it, these storms spawn beautiful aurora displays that can cause power blackouts and even knock satellites out of orbit. And so with this new sun activity, it's a little bit exciting for physicists and sun followers and worshippers like myself. But it's also a little bit of a concern for the public knowing that these bursts are happening, and it's a brand new crack in the sun. Dave, it's a little exciting for you too, so let's talk a little bit more.
I'm just excited about getting the Northern Lights. You know, I mean, look, we know that this sun is unpredictable at the best of times. You know, are we surprised by this? Are we surprised that it's not bigger? I mean, we know that the sun can knock out communication. It can fry satellites. It can do a lot of weird stuff, you know, but unfortunately, it's one of those things we kind of have to live with on this planet. So we really don't have a choice, Tim.
That's right. And one theory is that a big CME could have been the reason that Mars became extinct. It's just one theory out there, but it does explain kind of what we see there on that planet.
Sure does. Tim Seanor, thank you so much for coming on for the UFO report. We will talk to you in a couple nights' time, my friend.
Thanks so much for having me, Dave. It's been fun. Take care, audience. Thanks for being there.
Absolutely. Tim Seanor, our resident Timbit. Always love it when he is here. And, of course, just another great report. Tim is one of our number of people from Spaced Out Radio who will be attending our Las Vegas party May 19th through 21st, 2023.
Indeed.
You are all invited to come. All of you.
It's going to be so much fun. Everybody needs to be there.
You got that right.
See you later,
more
everyone.
Information soon. And a big thank you to Swamp Dweller, Science Bob, and friends for coming on out tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. If you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night.